Hello there my RPG lovers and welcome to another video. The term open world has gained some pretty bad reputation over the years. Probably because large majority of games that came out in recent years had open worlds regardless of the genre. Open worlds are easily exploitable and gamers are not dumb, so after a few years of seeing tons of games using and abusing this design decision, the negativity around this term is not surprising. It's really easy to extend the gameplay time by making a big world with lots of filler content like fetch quests, escort or tracking quests, meaningless collectibles and similar features. Anyway, here are some of my thoughts about the modern open world design in RPGs. The current situation with open world role-playing games is not that bad actually. Fetch quests are almost history. The last time I remember doing this kind of a quest is in Dragon Age Inquisition when I had to get some meat for the army or something. But ever since The Witcher 3 came out, it seems like RPGs in general are trying to give meaning to all quests. There's at least a short story surrounding even the simplest quest, which is really nice. I'm not saying that every side quest should take you all over the world map on an amazing journey, but it should be well written, with at least some consequences, character development or something meaningful. Speaking about quests, multiple ways of solving them is always welcome in an RPG, whether through skill check system or by discovering different options by yourself while you explore the map. Skill checks are great when it comes to roleplay and defining the character that you play. On the other side, quests that can be done in multiple ways by interacting with the world or NPCs give you a different feeling of freedom and accomplishment. For example, entering the city of Corinus in Gothic 2 could be done in 6 ways. You can work for a landowner who will give you some farmer clothes, take a pass from a shady NPC that will ask for a favor later on, bribe the guards, find a spot where you can jump over the wall, pretend like you're gathering plants for the alchemist, etc. You get what I'm trying to say. I would really like to see similar quest design in newer RPGs. People just like to have options while playing, meaningful options which will define your character or give you more freedom of choice. Without a similar quest system, the world in the game would feel very linear, even if it's open and huge. And that's the last thing I want to feel in an RPG. When it comes to world maps, I prefer vertical terrain with the least amount of load screens. Having to load a cave or a simple house every few seconds can really break the immersion. I really don't want to feel like I'm entering another dimension every time I open a door. It's not completely game breaking, but it's annoying for sure. When it comes to the size of the world map, there are a lot of things to talk about, but this topic can be highly subjective. For example, some people think that if you don't find a quest or something to fight after a few minutes of traveling, the world is pretty much empty. Which is ridiculous in my opinion, but there you go. I really don't need to be bombarded with content behind every corner, and the world should not be revolved around the player. Actually, it should be completely the opposite, otherwise the world is less believable and more gamey, if that makes sense. I prefer bigger maps in general because I find them more immersive and believable, but then again I have nothing against smaller maps. One of the reasons why I like bigger maps is terrain diversity. This is something that Piranha Bytes RPGs usually get right. Instead of one huge map with the same climate, terrain and the overall theme, they have around 3 completely different zones that are connected with no load screens. For example, the last game that came out from this studio has phenomenal world design in my opinion. Elex had problems that almost every AA RPG has, and it can be really clunky and frustrating sometimes, but the world design is amazing. Every terrain felt like it was worth exploring, and since you have a jetpack with limited fuel, they went all in with vertical exploration. Reaching the landing place with the last drop of your jetpack felt oddly satisfying, and it gave you the opportunity to look at the landscape until your fuel regenerates. Verticality of the terrain makes the world feel even bigger than it actually is, because it's harder to traverse it. This is even more evident in RPGs with smaller maps. The first Dark Souls game had an amazing vertical world, which was interconnected with various passages. Even though it's not an open world game, there's no way I'm not gonna mention it when we talk about the world design. It's just really amazing. You don't even have a map, and you don't need it in this game, but in bigger open world games you definitely need it. It's an important part of your exploration for sure, but it can be also implemented a lot better than just opening a menu. I love how in Gothic games you actually had to buy the map from someone. It's a minor nitpick, but it really helps with immersion. The map should be just a tool that you use sometimes, not a magic guide that has all the interesting locations and quests on it. It's really easy to lose the adventuring feel while exploring when you have so much things to help you. Speaking about exploration, it should be rewarded not only with the loot that you can find off the beaten path, but also some hidden quests or secrets. In order to achieve this, exploring should have at least some sense of danger and the quests should not be on the damn map. But judging by newer RPGs, it seems like the developers are scared of creating content that is slightly hidden on the map. It's okay if you come across these NPCs that are shouting for help or calling you, but having them on the map at any given time is really stupid in my opinion. At least give us the option to turn this off like The Witcher 3 did. But still, I think this should not be turned on by default. And I get it, it's scary to make content in the game that a lot of people can easily miss, but then again, I don't like when games are trying to please everyone. That's why open world RPGs started including a lot more helpful features to help the player not get confused, while older RPGs basically just said, well, good luck motherfucker. But I'm really glad that newer RPGs started including options to turn off different parts of UI. In Witcher 3 for example, I turned off the minimap on my second playthrough because it can be really distracting. If you haven't noticed, you spend a lot of time watching that thing while exploring. Having a compass instead of the detailed minimap is less distracting while exploring and it can still be useful. But if the game is designed around some of these systems that you can turn off, there's no point in turning them off, is it? But I did just fine with no minimap in The Witcher 3. In my humble opinion, developers should not try that hard to implement systems that will handhold the player. It might seem like I'm overreacting because these things are minor, but they can have a huge impact on how you play and experience the game. There's a lot of reasons why people really loved older RPGs, and it's not just nostalgia. Games like Morrowind and Gothic 2 are really outdated on a technical level, but some of their world building concepts are still amazing. Unfortunately, the idea of very complex and hidden quests, dangerous but rewarding exploration with no hand-holding, and similar features are not so common in newer games. These are just a few things on top of my mind when it comes to open worlds. I played and enjoyed all the games I mentioned here, but being critical of the things you love is also really important. Those would be some of my thoughts about this topic, and if you want to add something, agree or disagree, leave a comment down below. Consider subscribing for more content like this and click on the bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads. Special thanks to my Patreons and YouTube exclusive members, and if you as well want to become one of them, all the links are in the description. See ya in the next one.